So since I'm on the projects page anyways, I'm going to start with this edit. Project sends non-edited project name and description to backend and shows texts. Toast. Oof, can't speak. Okay. So that is delete project. We're not going to worry about that. This is update project. Okay. So let's go up here and let's try to first understand what's happening. We're setting the project name. The default is project.name. Okay. So what I'm going to try is I'm going to say if project name is equal to project.name, then we are going to return. All right. So now let's go ahead and then we want to say if project description is equal to project dot description. So basically we're saying if project name is still project name and project description is still project description, then we can just return and skip editing. So let's go ahead and give it a try. So if I click check, nothing happens because we just returned. So we need to look at what we're doing here. Response, we are setting project equal to response.data. We are setting update project name to false and update project description to false. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I click check. Perfect. So now instead of sending something to the back end and giving me a toast, it's saying, listen, you didn't update your project planning tool name, so we're just going to save it. You didn't update your description, so we're just going to save it. If you do update your description, and then we click it, then it will send it to the back end and update it. If we do update it, our name, it's going to send it and update it, and then if we refresh our page, it's going to persist. Okay, so I'm going to say that that fixed the project name issue, and I'm going to move that over. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at feature. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just copy this so that way I can have an idea of what I'm doing. And then I'm going to, I don't think I'm going to paste it in because I'm actually doing changes. I'll leave this tab open. Okay, so then let's look at feature. If I'm going to edit a feature, I'm going to be in the feature modal. So I'm going to open that up. And then I'm going to find where we are updating our feature. And here we are updating the feature. So similar to how I did this here, where I'm going to look if project name is the same, let's go look at how we're doing this here. So we're saying name and description is equal to feature name and feature description. So we're going to say if name is equal to feature name and description is equal to feature description. If both of those are true, then what are we going to do? We're going to set the updates to false. So let's go get this. And then we are going to return. Okay, so let's give this a try. So I don't update it. Perfect. I don't update it. Perfect. I do update it. It sends it to the back end. I do update it. It sends it to the back end. I refresh and it persists. All right, so that looks good in terms of feature. So I can pull this over. Now let's look at user story. So where first is user story? It's going to be here within the user story details accordion. We don't need to look at delete story right now. We do need to look at the post. Okay, so before we get the token, let's go ahead and take a look at here. So we have story name is going to be equal name and story description is equal description. Say if story name is equal to name and story description is equal to description, then we will set the updates states to false and we will return. All right, so edit user story 1. If I just say nothing, it'll just go back. If I make it blank, it'll go back. If I edit it, perfect. It edits and it's been updated. So now if we edit the description and we don't do anything, nothing. If I make it blank, it makes me mad. Oh wait, if I make it blank, it's fine because you can make it blank and it updates it. If I update it, it saves it and persists. All right, let's go ahead and refresh. Let's go look at test feature. Yep, and both are both updated. All right, so we can move this over to done. Now we just have our 2 task bugs to fix, and hopefully those aren't too bad either. All right, so our task box is going to be the first one here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this. It's not being updated in the UI. So it's making a post request to update task. And we know that part is at least working. Okay. So we have set story status is coming back, but we don't have set task name. So let's go ahead and take a look at console.log response. And let's see what is being responded. Is it just the story status that's coming back? Because if so, then we do have to edit something on the back end. And how did we miss this whole time? All right, so I'm going to add edit here and then click save. And I'm going to look at my response. And my response is just the story status. All right, and that's not what we want it to be. I think we actually did work on this. I'm wondering if I'm having some sort of like Git issue. Maybe I made the change and then I somehow didn't commit or something, which is a little bit worrisome, but that is also okay because we can fix it. So we're gonna go to our API and we're gonna look at this update task here because we are sending back just the story status and we want to send back also the task name, which were then set there. All right, but I'm just thinking we do want the status back, but technically we could just, because here, and what are we displaying? Task name, and then we're just doing task dot name. But should we be doing task name? All right, so let me kind of get refreshed. So that was edit. Let's do edit 1. Now it says edit 1. All right, so that actually was a simple bug that we could just fix on the front end. So I'm going to remove my console log. So basically I was thinking I needed to send the name back from the status, but we have the name because we're the ones typing it on the front end. So if that was silly of me, I just needed to update what was being shown. So task name is different than task.name. So if you look up here, task is coming in here. So that's what's coming in like from the database. When we load this page, that's the task, okay? The task name here is a state that we have within this task box, and the initial state of it is going to be, the initial value is task.name, okay? When I edit it, what I'm doing is I'm setting on change, I'm setting the task name, okay? And that way, if I display that task name here, instead of displaying task.name is from the database and task name is what I entered. But when I refresh the page, when I re-pull up the page, it's going to, so let's do edit 2. So I open, still says edit 2. So that's from task name. It hasn't reloaded yet, but when I actually reload the page, it's going to go back to the database and then it's going to get edit 2 and that will reflect task.name. I hope that makes sense. Sorry if it doesn't, but please shout out to me and ask a question in the Slack, or you can contact me over LinkedIn if you want a further explanation. All right, so that is edited, so we can go ahead and mark that is done. Then our last bug is that the non-edited task, if we don't edit a task, we still have your task name has been updated. So let's go ahead and go to here, and we're going to say if task name is equal to task.name, then we can do set update name false and then return. All right, let's give this a try. So if I don't edit it, perfect, nothing. If I make a blank, it should yell at me, yep, and then give me what I started out with and nothing. But if I edit it, it will update and contact the backend. Perfect. All right, so that takes care of all of my bugs. So that means I can move all of my user stories over to done as well. And that concludes our edit project workflow. And we can start working on our next one, which is going to be delete project workflow here, but we're not quite there yet. So I'm going to move this over to done. All right. And in the next video, we will pick up with manually testing our delete project workflow and collecting our bugs, and then hopefully bashing them. But wouldn't that be cool if we don't find any bugs? We'll see.